Hello, it is Friday and it is the 26th of October 2012. So, an interesting video. We'll look at gold, daily chart, weekly chart, and the ratio going back to the late 60s and then transfer or move this over to football. Well, it's more of a casino style wager. You know, sort of like poker. We have a World Series of Poker coming up the start of the week. 12 to 1 odds I found on Mr. Salaburu. Might be the best poker player at the table. Might be good value at 12 to 1. I will wait and see, though. But a casino game in here, you got the options bet. Oh, I'll do a GLD call for this time or a GLD put for here. I'll buy a stock at this point with a strategy to sell at a profit or loss here. You know, that's all risk-reward game theory. A lot of fun stuff, to say the least. So you see this fun stuff, like you hit this level, you go buy, right? Well, I'm one of the rare few people that see a downtrend and will say, okay, maybe we're at the spot to buy it. I like to use these lines to say when, but I need to know if they're legit. The lines, that is. After all, we have this low here, which is a low of 1548. Well, no, the May low was lower than that. So no, this number is actually 1685. But ironically, silver retraced 38.2% at that time frame. Ironically. So I find that interesting. We'll see how this plays out, but it did find exactly 38.2% from this low. Just if that means anything, we'll wait and see. Now, as far as this thing turning around, we got this 18 average of closes. I need to see this thing flatten out, start to go higher, and establish a trend of higher highs, higher lows. We really had a perfect pattern before. As if you look at the 18 average, you're in a mode of being neutral. You get above it, back up to this resistance area. Well, the breakout occurred in here from this average, and that's the type of thing I'd be looking for within the weekly chart. Interesting chart, to say the least. Pretty much three matching highs. Technically, the last high was barely higher. Technically, three matching lows. The last low was technically higher, but we're in the range. The lower end of the range is 1525, but you could even say realistically 1560. And the upper end of the range is about 1800, but even realistically about 1760. That's the range that it's in. And like I said in silver, it doesn't have to make a higher high. It can make a lower high on this move, but as long as the lows are higher as well. So even back here, as long as the low was higher, so if it's found support anywhere here and went higher, that would have been nice, but it didn't do that. So yes, if we do get this low where we come back either from here, which is already a bullish looking move if it does it now, or even if it comes down here and then makes it back up, it's such a bullish looking pattern, like the same one that we showed on the daily chart in here, when it broke out of this triangle, something of that nature there. Just a nice looking bullish pattern that one would be searching for. Let's move on to the gold to silver ratio now, going back since the late 1960s. And the only move that we're really concerned about is the one that happened from like the 1980s, 1979 period, where the ratio dipped back to 14 to 1. That moved pretty much up to for a decade, back all the way up to a little over 100. Well, now it's been trying to hold on to support. It did here, lower high. And then it did technically make a higher low, but it tested support again. And then it technically again made a higher high, barely, but matching though. But you see, when you go above this average, this is why this move here is big. Because this is your comeback, you break through the resistance. That was what you needed for this thing to break out. It didn't occur. Instead, the low was taken out, or a convincing low below Fibonacci. Last two moves never once had a convincing move. This one did, but it really moved back above it fairly fast. So now we got the situation of this possible lower high. If it's significantly lower, not only this high, but even this high, and then you start to see it creep down, an ideal pattern would be going like this, back up to this line in here somewhere, and then start to move lower there. That is an ideal pattern. If, of course, you're like me, you expect this to go lower, but still using any type of science and chart analysis to determine anything that may say otherwise. But it doesn't look good that it's holding on, and it's most likely going to test the lower levels into the 30s again. And let's now go on to football picks. So an interesting switch over, but again, this is like a casino video. I'm talking about Salaburu at 12-1 to win the World Series of Poker in 7th chip position with about 7% of the chips in play, something of that nature. Well, some things to look over here. One person asked for it, so that's what I'm doing. I also got fantasy stuff, because in my fantasy leagues, I got 3 leagues, where one league I got the name Silver Bullion, another league Silver Bullion, another league Gold and Silver. Same silver coin on each picture, though. With that being said, that means every time someone plays me, or all people in the league have to see my name Silver Bullion and a picture of a Canadian maple. Therefore, as far as the games are concerned, this is a team that's favored. It's the Patriots. The over-under is 46.5 points for total both teams. I look at situations like the fact that the Patriots were late to getting to London to this game, and it sucks for the Rams that they have to give up a home game for a game that's not in their country. But with that being said, I'm a little leery on laying the 7, and I like the Rams defense. Colts and Titans. You know what? That's more of a fantasy game. I don't care too much about that game. In fact, I haven't looked at too many of the systems, but the one that I do like is home underdogs. You get the Cowboys +1. You know what? I kind of like it. I know they won the first game, and I think they can come back and play again. And I know the Giants are road warriors, but this just seems to me that game is just so easy for that to play, which is the Giants, that always seems to lose. And that's what's been going through my mind all week on this game. So I'm going to keep it at that and actually be a play on the Giants. Home underdog, Cleveland Browns, 1 point. That's pretty decent, but let's look at the 2 games that are really, really good. The New Orleans Saints +6 going into Denver. I think a lot of the spread was because of how much they've sucked the first week of the season. Well, you know what? Touche, whatever. Joe Vitt's back, who is their assistant coach, really the interim coach. That should be very helpful. Cardinals +7. I always take home underdogs in a divisional game, especially on a Monday night like this. I like the Cardinals defense too. Yeah, okay, Skelton will get sacked about 1 trillion times, but that's still lower than the national debt. It's fantasy. If you got Ben Roethlisberger, he's in a good spot. I'm actually sitting Cam Newton in favor of Ben Roethlisberger. I do have Bradford in 1 league, and I'm sitting him only because I have to start 2 QBs, and I don't have I don't have anyone to start him over because I got Aaron Rodgers and Eli Manning to choose from, so they get the nod. But he's still got a good spot if you're very desperate, that is. Running back Alex Green of Green Bay. They should be establishing a run pretty early, maybe use it even again into the second half as the Jaguars suck against the run. Vic Ballard of the Indianapolis Colts. You can really start any tendency off any player against the Titans. So if you want to play Reggie Wayne, that's just a no-brainer start, though. Receivers James Jones and Randall Cobb of the Green Bay Packers, and sure, Jordy Nelson will not play, though. Joel Dresden, tight end. And for sits, Matthew Stafford against a very difficult Seattle team. Jonathan Stewart, a great pickup, but he's got a terrible matchup this weekend. Steven Jackson might get traded soon. St. Louis may not really want to play him, at least for the week. Plus, it's a bad matchup anyway. So that is this weekend's report. And have yourself a good weekend. Bye-bye.